Hi everyone, how you doing today? My name's Kirsty and I'm coming at you today with the quarterly books that I'm most anticipating. This time we're looking at July, August and September. We know this format by now. I've done this a few times and it's just a case of I start off by talking about the books that I am most stoked for and like my most anticipated for the year, and then I just talk about books that are also on my kind of like, I can't think of the word, not a hit list but radar. So there we go, I can English today. I've been awake less than an hour, so my brain is still waking up. But there's not as many books this time. Well, I say there's not as many books, and then I look at my list and I'm like, actually, there's still quite a few. But there are a fair few, and some of these I do have on pre-order, which is awesome. I haven't got any NetGalley books for this round because I have kind of put myself on a bit of a NetGalley ban, because in the last sort of 4 or 5 months, I've barely kept up with it, and I just feel like it's a really bad idea to keep requesting books when I'm not actually reading them. So we're going to kickstart with the books that I am absolutely most excited for, because a couple of my most anticipated for the year are in here. Although I said that last time and then I read one of them and was really disappointed. So now I'm kind of scared to have most anticipated books. None of these fall in July. So the first one we have is in August, and that is Guardians of the Dawn Zara by S.J. Jones. This just looks amazing. It's described as being a crossover between Sailor Moon and I can't remember what the other one was. Was it Voltron or something like that? But I'm just like, okay, Sailor Moon was one of my childhood favourites. This one just sounds so fun, and I read Winter Song by S.J. Jones and I quite enjoyed it, so I'm interested to find out a bit more about her writing and see if I really like her. It just looks really fun and that cover is so pretty. Then we have on the 29th of August is Never a Hero by Vanessa Len. This is the follow-up to Only a Monster, which I read last year and I really enjoyed. I basically read it in one sitting. I gave it 5 stars. It was really fun. It had a really fantastic build-up. The ending completely threw me off, and I'm just really anticipating what's going to happen next, but I'm also kind of thinking it's going to go away. I don't want it to go, but I can't wait to get it, and I've had this one on pre-order since the second it was announced, so I really am excited for this one. And it follows these different families who have all got different abilities, and there was like a big massacre in the first book that the book started with, and it forced 2 rivals from 2 rival households together to try and fix things. And then they also had a hunter after them who Joan, the main female, was kind of in love with. So yeah, it was good and I enjoyed it and I can't wait for the sequel. And then for September we have probably my second most anticipated book for this year, and that is The Fragile Threads of Power, Book 1, Threads of Power by V.E. Schwab. This is set 3 years after the Dark Shades of Magic series. She's got new characters, but she's also brought back some old favourites. I've seen extracts and excerpts where it's got like Kel and Lila, and I'm just screaming because they are they're just some of my favourite characters of all time. I love them all. I cannot wait to get back into this universe. I always love Schwab's writing. I love how she builds characters. People complain about her fantasy series being more YA than adult, but I don't care. I had a fun time and I liked that they were grown-up adult characters with a more YA plot. I really enjoyed that because it made it more accessible to me. And I've always loved how she writes her characters, so I can't wait to get back into this universe and be reunited with my babies. That one releases on the 26th. So now we're just on to my regular books that are on my radar that I'm kind of interested in. A couple of them I've pre-ordered just because they intrigued me enough to get them. And we're going to start with July, and for this we have, on the 6th, we have Black Heat by Bex Hogan. I've written it down. I cannot remember why I've written it down, and I can't really look it up because my laptop's over there and my phone is right in front of me. But I can't remember why it is that I chose that one. This one attracted me just by the tagline, because it literally just says exile, rebel, heir, 3 underestimated women destined to be brought together to exact revenge. And I was just like, done, I'm in, I want to know what this book is. It is a YA, but I don't care. I still love my YA fantasies, and it just sounds really, really, really good. Next up, we have 2 books that release on the 11th. We have A Lady's Guide to Scandal by Sophie Irwin. In this book, we follow our protagonist, Eliza, who, when she was 18, was married to a man 20 years her senior. 10 years later, he's now passed away, which means that she has inherited all of his fortune, and she now has the freedoms that come with being a very rich widow. However, what she doesn't realise is that there are some strings attached to this, and it leads to some very unexpected opportunities as well as a couple of risks for scandal. And she's now got to try and navigate the fact she's still young enough to remarry and is also a widow. And it just sounds like quite fun. It's giving me kind of like Bridgerton combined with The Agency for Scandal that I read last year by Laura Wood. And I just think it's going to be quite entertaining. And I don't always love period and Regency romances, that kind of thing, but this one does sound very good, and I am intrigued, to say the least. Also on the 11th is Ebony Gate by Julia V and Ken Babel, which is described as a John Wick story with dragon magic set in San Francisco's Chinatown. That just sounds really cool to me. I'm not really a big dragon fan, and I've never watched John Wick, but it does sound good, and I will admit, this is purely like a cover one that got me. The cover hooked me in, and now I'm just like, I need to read this book. But basically, the main character of this story is a retired assassin who, she used to be there's like 8 prestigious families in the region. She used to be the Blade, so like the assassin for one of them. And there was an incident that wasn't her fault from the sounds of things, and she basically hung up her sword. But now there is a serial killer called the Butcher who is coming around, and she's now got to basically come out of retirement in order to try and save the city and figure out who the Butcher is. And I imagine that's going to bring back a lot of old tensions between her and clan members, maybe. I don't know. But that just sounds really cool. And that is kind of the sort of thing that I do enjoy reading. So on the 17th, we have Garden of the Cursed by Katie Rose Poole. This follows a woman who works as a curse breaker. Her mother disappeared a year ago, and now she's found a lead that could help find what happened to her mother. But it means in doing so that she's got to team up with a guy that spurned her a year ago and that she's now got to enter into a fake relationship with. And he's from like one of the biggest political families, or is he? He's one of the most powerful nobles in the region. And so again, that's going to bring in a lot of chaos and a lot of drama, but also I love a fake dating storyline. Always have done, especially when they start to slowly realise that maybe it's not fake and maybe it's fate instead. Fate dating. But yeah, this one sounds really cool. Again, the cover just looks amazing. And I enjoy stories about not only fake dating, but I also really enjoy stories that use things like curse breakers and treasure hunters and things like that, and puts 2 people of opposite families together. I just find it really interesting to see how those dynamics work, so it'll be cool to see what happens in this one. On the 18th, we have The Third Daughter by Adrienne Tooley, and this follows the eldest daughter who basically, there was this person called the New Maiden, and there is a prophecy that the New Maiden will return as the third daughter of the third daughter. So when our main character's youngest sister, who is the third daughter of the third daughter, is born, she is angered because that means that she will lose her claim to the throne because it will be passed on to her youngest sister. She decides to debilitate her sister so that she will still get the throne, only the sorceress that she visits gives her the wrong spell. And so her sister instead So instead, her sister falls into a deep sleep that she will never wake up from without the cure. So now our main character, Elodie, has to now team up with the sorceress to go and find the cure. And there is also a sapphic element to this book. And I'm like, this could be really interesting. And again, just has some of my favourite kind of elements in there. And yeah, I think this could be quite fun. And then finally for July, on the 25th, we have Bonesmith by Nikki Pedro. Preto, sorry, I got the name wrong. In this, we follow Ren, who is a bonesmith. Basically, the bonesmith's role is to sever the souls from dead people. So they go along and they just make it so that you can move on to the afterlife. However, this is just like the first step in the pathway to becoming a Valkyr, which are the people who go beyond the wall to fight evil, etc. And Ren really wants to do this. So when an opportunity comes to go and rescue the kidnapped prince, she jumps on this opportunity, only she discovers that there's a lot more going on and that there may be some very underlying dirty tactics going on, and someone wants the prince dead. So they now have to work together to try and figure out what's going on, but also survive in the area that they're in that is notoriously deadly and dangerous. So it could be quite interesting, but I also feel it could be quite intense and heavy on the lore. So I'm kind of 50-50 about this one, but it's enough on my radar that I will at least give it a try at some point. And if I see it in the shop, I will pick it up. So that is it for July. Moving on to August, we begin with August the 1st, Just Bring Me Your Midnight by Rachel Griffin, which is one that I have pre-ordered. And this one sounds really cool. We follow Tana, who is a witch from a coven. Her coven's magic is kind of dwindling, but also so is their reputation with the mainland, and the people are getting scared of them and they're starting to cause trouble. So she agrees to enter a marriage with the governor's son. Unfortunately, as she does that, she then meets Wolf, who is from another coven, and he helps her to unlock some amazing powers, and she kind of falls for him. So now she's torn between duty and like love, and then there is like this overarching threat as well that means that she needs to work with Wolf to defeat it, because it's when she's with him her powers are stronger and she has more control. I can't imagine there being really like a love triangle, but I think there's going to be an element in there of her being like, oh, what is the correct thing to do? And she now also needs to try and save her people, but you know, by saving her people it means going back on the arranged marriage. So I can imagine that one's going to be quite drama-y. Like I said, I have got it on pre-order, and I am kind of discovering this year that I'm really loving witchy books and books featuring covens, and certainly the fact that this has a male witch, I'm just like, yeah, I'm in for that. Next up on the 29th, we have Her Radiant Curse by Elizabeth Lim. I own 3 Elizabeth Lim books and I've not read a single one of them. Her books just have the most stunning covers, and I am a sucker for it, and I cannot resist it. And it's so pretty. This one follows 2 sisters. One of them is a warrior who was sacrificed to a god, so now she has a serpent's face, and she basically acts as her sister's protector. And then her sister, who is like super beautiful, is put into this contest to be married off. But most of the suitors are really evil and cruel and deadly, so her sister steps up to be her protector and basically has to defeat all of the awful suitors in order to secure her sister a good marriage. I am a sucker for a story that involves siblings, especially when there's like tension, but not that they hate each other, but more in they want to protect each other, and the tension is who's going to protect them how. And I'm just, yeah. Stories about siblings I just really enjoy. Maybe I watched too much Supernatural as a kid, now I'm just like... And then on the 30th, which is the final book, we have is The Pumpkin Spice Cafe by Laurie Gilmore. This one just sounds like a really cute read. It's a grumpy sunshine, happily ever after small town cafe romance that also has a bit of a mystery in there as well. And it just sounds really cool. You've got the main character, Jeannie. Her aunt gifts her cafe, and so she moves in, she takes it over, she clashes with the really grumpy store owner of another coffee shop. Oh, he does produce, he's a farmer, not a coffee shop owner. He ends up getting mixed in with her, especially when there's stuff that keeps happening in the cafe, like lights going weird, things going missing, strange movements, things like that. And so that he ends up helping her, but it just sounds like a really cute, cozy read, and sort of like the perfect, from the cover and the title, I feel like it's going to be a really perfect sort of early autumn read to get you into that autumnal mood. So I'm quite excited for this one, and it does sound really sweet and cute. And finally, we're moving on to September, where I've only got a couple because for some reason there wasn't a lot that I saw. Up first on the 12th is a debut, and this is 100 Vicious Turns by Lee Page O'Brien. This book is stuffed full of LGBT rep. The main character is non-binary. I don't know if it's a romantic interest so much, but they are friends turned enemies because of an incident that the main character caused the previous year. So I don't know if they're going to become friends again or if there's maybe going to be a romance in there. But the other protagonist is also trans. So we have non-binary rep, we have trans rep. It's amazing. And basically Rat is the main character, and they are from a powerful arcane family. The previous year they opened a passageway that could have caused a lot of havoc and a lot of bad things, and something followed them back, and they vowed they're never going to use magic again. They are now scared of their powers and they won't use it. The only person who knows what happened the previous year is Harker. Harker knows what happened the previous year, and they realise that the school that Rat is now enrolled at may not be as safe as they originally thought. And now they've got to team up together in order to try and uncover what's going on and to defeat whatever it was that followed Rat back the previous year. And I'm just like, this sounds really cool. And again, this one's described as being a lesson in vengeance meets Hell Followed With Us. Neither books that I've read, but if those are books that you've read, maybe you will also be interested in this. And then the final book that I'm recommending for this, which is one that I have got on pre-order and I'm really, really stoked for, and I probably could have put this one in my most anticipated, but I don't know why I did. But this one releases is My Roommate is a Vampire by Jenna Levine. This is a romance that just looks really cute. I love the cover. I love the colours. But Cassie is an artist that is struggling and basically finds a new apartment that has a ridiculous and too good to be true rent. She finds out through some clues that her roommate Frederick J. Fitzwilliam, there's things like he sleeps in all day, he's out all night, he talks like he's from the Regency period, and then eventually Cassie finds bags of blood in the fridge and realises that her roommate is actually a vampire. And he then propositions her. I don't know what the proposition is, it doesn't tell us, but it just sounds cute. And apparently he's also like very caring, he's very sweet, he leaves little notes for her, and he takes an interest in her art that a lot of people don't tend to do. And so I just think this is going to be a really fun and quirky romance that's kind of got that sort of paranormal element to it. That one releases on the 28th of September. It was meant to be a bit earlier, but they did push it back, so we'll see when it comes out. As with all of the dates, some of these may be different. I've noticed on NetGalley when I was reading some of the blurbs that a couple of the dates are different to what I've got written down. But what I've got written down are from Forbidden Planet, Waterstones and NetGalley. So those are the dates that I've gone with. So if you know that the dates are a bit different, I do apologise, but they are all coming out in that 3-month period unless anything gets drastically pushed. But yeah, those are the books that I am most excited for this quarter. Let me know in the comments if there are any books that you are particularly excited for. I'll be back again end of September, beginning of October with the final round of recommendations for this year. I hope you're all good, I hope you're staying safe, and until next time, bye!